Frank Kenny, thank you all so much for joining us today. What we're going to be talking about is chamber trips and social media's relationship to that. This webinar is courtesy of Idus Travels. Thank you so much. We have Harish also on the line.
Hello everyone.
Right in. Hello Harish. I'm going to jump right in with introductions here of myself. I used to run a Chamber of Commerce. I was the president and CEO for about 4 years. We were one of the first chambers in the country to jump into social media with both feet, and within about 18 months we had doubled the membership of that 45-year-old organization, primarily through the social media strategies, and I'm going to be sharing those here with you today as they especially relate to chamber trips. All facets of chamber work are now starting to have a social media component, and that's why I've partnered here with Idus to bring you this information. Fortunate to speak at the state, national, international level, primarily in the Chamber of Commerce industry, faculty of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Institute program, member of the national associations and my MBA. As I said, we're going to share social media strategies. I've written a book on social media for chambers, which you are free to go to my website and see if you would like to purchase. There's other things there, other resources that are free to download. And then we're going to cover today chamber insights gathered from a recent chamber trip survey that I did among nationwide chambers nationwide. So why Idus? Well, I wanted to partner with a company that would allow us to do these webinars for free, and I know the primary people there at Idus. I like that they're sponsors of the National Chamber events and the State Chamber conferences. I like that they're a experienced company. They're located here in North America, up in Canada. I like that they, when I went looking on their website, they had a lot of things that I very much liked, one being that they're licensed in California, not just Canada. And if you can get licensed in California, I think you can get licensed anywhere. And they're also part of the consumer protection group there in BC, meaning that the monies are held in trust. So anyway, I did my due diligence when I went looking for a partner, and Idus rose to the top. I especially liked that they're a mid-market size. They're big enough that they're a worldwide company doing the chamber trips anywhere in the world, basically, but they're small enough, family-owned, to where you can make a phone call and talk to the people there. So as I went deeper into Idus before agreeing to partner with them, I just want to share with you some of the things I found on them. They were named the best tour operator. This is to India from the Americas for the 4th time in 5 years. And right there, they're getting the plaque and the recognition from the President of India and the Tourism and Minister of India. Praveen, he's probably on the line here. He is one of the principals that I'm familiar with. I like that they give back to the community. Here they are giving back to the BC Cancer Foundation. Here's to the BC and Yukon, or the Heart and Stroke Foundation. BC and the Yukon. As I said, they're worldwide, going to pretty much all the major tourist destinations that your members and people in your community should hope to visit. And it's well beyond what I just shown you. This is their website, a screenshot from their website, and of course you can see on the top here the various countries that that their company takes groups to, and that list goes on and on and on. So that's Idus Travels, who's made this webinar possible by being free. I just want to clarify one thing here is I'm not being paid a commission by Idus, whether you go on a trip with them or any of the other fine companies in the chamber travel industry. I have friends and contacts in SITSLink, of course, and ABC, and Chamber Discoveries, and Chamber Explorations, and Colette, and all the other fine companies. These are all good companies in the Chamber of Commerce industry, helping chambers to raise non-dues revenues primarily, and they're all good, solid companies. So, matter of fact, I traveled with SITSLink not too long ago to China, courtesy of ACCE, with a group of presidents and CEOs that ACCE put together, and a fantastic experience. They put us up, of course, in 4- and 5-star hotels, which you'll find with pretty much all the companies doing these chamber trips. It's first class all the way. Got us in front of various business-related government entities and other government and business functions to acclimate us to the business community in China, where we made contacts. As a friend of mine that I met on the trip from Canada. Just it truly is business, but it's also tourism and culture and pleasure. So let's jump right into why would your chamber consider doing a chamber trip? Because these chamber trips haven't been around all that long. It's a new source or newer source of non-dues revenue primarily for chambers. So what's in it for you? I asked my list of chambers across the country, what is it about these non-dues or these trips that make you want to do these things? And it came back again and again and again that it's an additional source of non-dues revenue. That's the biggest benefit to the chamber, the board, and the membership is the non-dues revenue. There are auxiliary benefits, which I will go over also in this webinar, but first let's really cover the non-dues revenue, what the survey showed. These are some of the responses of how did your trip go, would you do another? And yes, great for our members, and of course added revenue to our books. And I'm just going to go through several of these just to give you an idea that what the chamber said as a response in the survey is, yes, it was great, the trip's quality, visibility, so another benefit, but earn substantial amount of money for the chamber. Allows your chamber to get your mission accomplished. You need money to get your mission accomplished. Built camaraderie among our members, another great benefit. Here's another chamber. You know, we have done these trips each year since 2009. Benefits include non-dues revenue, networking, exposure to non-members. Yes, it was worthwhile, gain members. Another good benefit, really important. But really, it comes back to primarily non-dues revenue generator. So I asked my list of chambers, have you offered these international group travel, these chamber trips? And you know, only about a third of chambers have taken advantage of this. It is still a source of non-dues revenue that a lot of chambers haven't taken advantage of. I also asked my members, the business community that I have on my email list, I surveyed them and said, if your local chamber did offer one of these trips at a great rate with an excellent destination, you know, would you consider going? More than 3/4 said yes. So this is an up-and-coming source of non-dues revenue in the Chamber of Commerce industry. There's probably quite a few people on the line that have already done these trips, and they're here for additional information or how to integrate social media to make them even more successful. And then there's, of course, people on the line that have never done a trip that need to know the best practices for marketing these and any pitfalls to watch out for. So going a little deeper into non-dues revenue on the actual dollar amounts, this chamber that responded to the survey said, you know, we took a group, 50 individuals. And you should know that, you know, they wouldn't just be members. It would be members, people from the community. What this chamber did is they took members from the state legislature. So they're doing something to really build their credibility in the community and the networking among the members and others. So don't think it's just your members. It's people from the community. For some chambers, the vast majority of people going are people in the community, not yet members. So here's another chamber that said, you know, excellent, experience was excellent in both China and Ireland. So keep in mind that you don't have to do just one trip a year. You can do one in the spring, one in the fall, or whenever your slow, quote-unquote, slow season is at your chamber. Some chambers do 6 and 8 trips a year. It's a major, major source of non-dues revenue for them. Of course, you can just do one. You can start out with one, and next year do 2, and the next year do 6 or 8. If you do a Google search, you'll find that some of the larger chambers are continually raising substantial non-dues revenue from these chamber trips to support their business model, to support their mission. So here's some numbers here. The Seattle Metropolitan Chamber, who has traveled with Idus, the numbers came back, you know, $60,000 over 3 trips, substantial non-dues revenue. The Denver Chamber, $25,000 from their trip, and you don't think that you have to earn these kind of numbers. If you are a smaller chamber and you're concerned about, well, we're not the Seattle Chamber, we're not the Denver Chamber, just know that there really is no minimum with Idus. You can go as low as 20 passengers, and you get paid $250 per passenger. So even the smallest of trips, 20 being not very hard number to hit from my research, 5,000 in non-dues revenue, which is nothing to sneeze at. And of course, somebody from the staff gets to travel for every 35 passengers, which is a great networking opportunity for the CEO to travel with your maybe your more affluent members or people that you don't get a chance to really socialize with away from business all the time. Just a very, very valuable time away from the office with some of your best members, board members, legislators, keep people from the community, what have you, whoever decides to go. And of course, it doesn't have to be the president, CEO. You could send your salesperson or whoever it happens to be along on the trip. And then dollar-wise, this chamber here said that they had 2 groups totaling 165 people to China. Substantial non-dues revenue possibilities here. So let's move beyond the non-dues revenue to the other benefits here. Additional benefit of membership by offering these trips. Today we have to provide benefits to keep our members happy. You never know exactly what benefit will reach what member, and so the more benefits that you can list out that would catch somebody's eye, as somebody is finally saying, my bucket list includes visiting places around the world, and they see that they can get this benefit through their chamber, that might be just what brings on a new member or retains that member. So networking opportunity, of course. The people that go, it's not business all the time. You do the tourist things, you stay in hotels, you have meals, and you get to know people better. And of course, we all know that members stay members longer once they feel they have a lot of solid relationships with the staff, with the board, with the other members, with people in the community. So you can't overstate the value of the networking opportunity. Good press. This one surprised me a little bit because I went online expecting to just see chamber websites on how their website was done for their chamber trip, and instead I came across newspaper articles. All these newspaper articles talking about how so-and-so chamber is taking a trip to Ireland, or so-and-so chamber is going to China. It turns out that this is very, very good publicity for your chamber. It shows that you're thinking globally, you're thinking bigger, that you're taking important people and you're networking, and it's very newsworthy, and you'll find that you get good press. And you can do your own Google search for chamber trips, and you'll see what I mean. Of course, we're always looking to gain new members, and people that decide to go on the trip very well may decide to become your member. This was a question of the most benefit to your chamber board membership: gain new members, having the staff travel along, and then increased retention because people feel more included. So a lot of benefits to doing these chamber trips, but by far 95%, 94.9 additional source of non-dues revenue. So what are the concerns here that I heard in my survey about why some chambers haven't yet taken advantage of this? One that came back is staff time, so I'm going to cover that. And a few others here is a little member interest or something similar, is a small community market or a neighboring chamber doing it. So we'll discuss that. Some chambers expressed concern that it wasn't part of the business model, so we'll touch on that. Some chambers expressed a concern that they have a member that already is a travel agent and they don't want to step on their toes, so we'll talk about that. And some chambers didn't really understand how great of a discount it is to do group travel, so we'll touch on that. First, staff time, which is everybody's concern nowadays in the Chamber of Commerce world. We're all just too busy. And you just have to be clear that when you do offer this, just like all things in life, you don't gain a benefit for something if you don't put out the effort. And so yes, it does take work. Don't go into this thinking that you will have a bunch of people travel into India or China or what have you, and you've done nothing on your end. It takes a partnership to make this happen. But it's not as if you're doing it alone. The chamber, first of all, gets to select the dates of the trip, which is great because you can then schedule it, the sales of it and the collecting, your role of it. You can schedule that during your off season. or you certainly wouldn't want to schedule it while you're doing your biggest event of the year and you're also trying to promote the chamber trip. You get to pick the schedule, so that's a very big benefit. You also get to pick the destination. So one thing you might want to try to do is do a survey of your membership and find out where it is that they are most interested in. Cuba has opened up. Maybe there's a lot of talk in your community about going to Cuba. Or maybe South America, Peru and some of the other countries are hot. Or maybe it's Ireland, or maybe it's the Mediterranean, or maybe it's India. It's one good way to find out where the demand is by surveying your membership and your community. And then you get to pick the destination. And then Idus comes in as the experts that do this for a living, and then they do the hard work of customizing the itinerary, booking the rooms or guaranteeing the rooms, guaranteeing the flight, and all those kind of things that are a big deal. Well, that's what Idus does for a living, and so the chamber doesn't have to put that on their plate. Idus also helps with the marketing materials, so you don't have to start this from scratch. You can learn from what other successful chambers have done and use, borrow, as we say in the chamber industry, borrow what works. Your role is primarily to promote the trip, the destination that you've chosen to your members in the community, which is something that the chamber does extraordinarily well. That's what we do, is we communicate with our members, and we are the voice of business in our community. We have immense reach through especially social media today, but we've always had immense reach in the community. So that's your role. And then as people say, yeah, I want to travel with the chamber and two of my friends, or my sister wants to go, or whatever it happens to be, you collect the deposit and get the signed agreement, and you forward those to Idus every couple of weeks. So it is some amount of work, but it's not overly burdensome. When I interviewed the Seattle Chamber, she said, you do a lot of work to get the word out, but that is what chambers do. We have mechanisms to get the word out, and I'm going to cover that substantially here in a few minutes. Keep in mind that, like I said before, the majority of travelers not members, and what the Seattle Chamber found and other chambers found was people travel again and again. So as you do your first trip, you're going to get a certain number of people traveling, and you'll keep their names. You'll stay in touch with them. You'll make them VIPs. And then when you come to your second trip, you'll get some new people, but some of the other people that traveled before will go. And as you build up a history of these trips, what you're going to find, according to the chambers that I interviewed, is that a lot of them are basically, you have a certain group that they consider themselves travelers. They love group travel with a tour guide, and everything's taken care of, and there's buses, and it's really, you save a ton of money, but you get even better rooms. It's kind of a no-brainer, and so you develop a clientele that's ready to go. You should give yourself, excuse me, about 6 months for planning and sales. So you'll have to talk with somebody like Harish at Idus and talk about, okay, we have the best time for us as a chamber is about 6 or 9 months out, and that gives you time to ramp up the sales, collect the deposits, things of that nature. So this isn't something that you have to do in 3 weeks and it's an emergency kind of thing. This is something that you plan out long term, and it doesn't become as much of a burden on the chamber as it would be if you had to handle it within weeks. So speaking of how chambers successfully promote these trips, this is what the survey showed. These are how you successfully promoted or marketed the chamber trips. And by far, email the membership. 92.6% of the time, 92.6% of the chambers responding to this question said, yes, email marketing to the members was a successful way to market the trips. Well, that's something that chambers across the country are extraordinarily good at, is that weekly newsletter or what have you, whatever your frequency is. But you just add in that we're doing a chamber trip to Ireland or wherever it happens to be, and add a really nice photo and a link to your website, and you just include that in the emails that you're sending out anyways. Mentioned here the website. You are going to want a website that Idus will help you with that shows the itinerary, that shows whether the the passport needs and the various other things that people that are considering going on a trip are going to want to know. Some pictures there of the destination, maybe some testimonials, things of that nature. But you're going to want a website page, and of course you're going to want the share buttons on the website page so they can share it to Facebook, share it to Twitter, those sort of things, and I'm going to talk more about that later. But those are the biggies. Over 80% said the website and the email, very, very strong. A lot of chambers are still do the printed newsletter or inserts in the local newspaper, things of that nature. If you get that, definitely do that. You'll see that something that's not on this list here is paying for TV ads or paying for radio or paying for newspapers or any of that big outlay of chamber money. These things are generally things that you can do because you're already doing them. You're just piggybacking on what the chamber does anyways. Of course, social media has exploded and is changing so much about marketing, and I'm going to talk a lot about that here in a minute. And then, as I said before, you're going to want to press release your trip to all the various news outlets, and you will get traction from that if you're like the other chambers that I've seen. So other concerns here that brought up, our chamber is too small or the neighboring chamber is doing it. Keep in mind that there is no minimum, so any size chamber can participate. It's not just chamber members, it's people from the community. I've covered a lot of this already. $5,000 from only 20 passengers. You could consider 80 as being a really great amount to send to on your trip, but 20 is not a hard number to hit, especially if you start getting, and I'm going to talk about this in the social media component, the people in your community that other people want to travel with. If you have somebody from, let's say, your chairman of the board or somebody else from the bank, people that people want to be associated with, it would be good for business to be traveling with the local bank president or the chairman of the board of the chamber. People like to know that they are traveling with the quote-unquote muckety-mucks of the community. And once you get this ball rolling, then others are going to want to come. Nobody's going to want to be left out if all the important people are going to Tuscany. So keep that in mind. And of course, I've already covered that you get an executive or the staff gets to travel. So let's just go over a couple responses from the survey here. This person's never done a trip, have not yet taken a trip, is scheduled for November of this year. They have 20 signed up and paid. Very easy program to administer. And they'll have more opinions after the trip because they haven't done on one. So, but anyway, first trip, 20 signed up and paid. Nice way to learn about it. And again, there's no risk to the chamber because the guarantees are made by Idus Travel. They do the blocking of the hotels and the airlines. And I'm going to have some more on that as we go on. So what about if you get a board member or somebody says, well, it's really not a part of the mission of the chamber. And you know, I know a lot of chambers really want to stick with their mission. They have goals that they want to have accomplished, but it takes money to accomplish those goals. So when a chamber decides they wanted to do one of these trips, they need the non-dues revenue so they can accomplish the chamber's goals. That's a powerful source of non-dues revenue that they could put to work towards accomplishing their goals. What the Long Beach Chamber calls their chamber trips is trade missions. Sounds great, and there is a business component. Although you do get to see the sights, and you do get to network, and you do have fine meals, and you do spend the nights in extraordinary hotels, you're there for business also because you're making contacts. When I was in China, they took us multiple times to different government agencies that treated us like royalty because we're from America, because we're from the Chamber of Commerce, because they want to do business with America. And we definitely had a dose of business and government. We went to manufacturers and various other things, and they talked to us about how they did business and how the people that are on the trip can do business with them. This chamber responded to the survey when they said that, excuse me, that we participated in a Western Canada chamber-driven trip to China. It was worthwhile, and they would consider doing it again. But here's the important part. Some of us have still retained connections with business people we met when there. and then there's insights into the different culture, and that's invaluable. So it's not just tourism, but you are going to see the sights, so can't complain about that. And your members also get to save. Your members and the various people traveling with you do save substantially from if they were to do this on their own. So it makes financial sense for your chamber to do this. So why Idus, or why use one of these professional travel companies and not necessarily your own travel agent as members? It's because it's complex. These guys, the firms that do this professionally for a living, they're professional travel planners. The tours are designed and run by them, which means that they're not just reselling somebody else's. These things are customized. They don't sell other company tour packages and just leave you on your own. If you need to make a phone call, you talk to the people at Idus, for example, and it's their trip. It's their people on the ground in those other countries. It's their tour guides. They made the reservations at the hotels, things of that nature. So I understand wanting to use your own travel agent, but do you really want to have 50 people in Ireland and you have to go through your travel agent who has to go through another company that they just happen to be selling their package for? They're just a middleman. Here you deal with the actual people with the boots on the ground. Plus, Idus joins your chamber. They customize the trips based on your needs, so it's not something take it or leave it. They're customized. They have offices, a network of offices and teams in the destinations. So they have people in the countries that work for Idus. And again, they have their own office locations in the destinations. And then they use expert guides and tour coordinators. And I can tell you, when I was in China, it was one of the best parts of the whole experience was that we had people, professional tour guides and tour coordinators that knew exactly where we were going, what we would see, how to interact. Everything was prepaid. You just get off the bus and you walk right in, and the people tell you the history of the pagoda or the reason that the city has all this economic development. Invaluable. So some of the reasons right there to use these professionals, tour operators like Idus. And again, this is right from Praveen, who I talked about it earlier in the presentation. There is never any financial risk for the chambers by offering these trips. So, and then this was one of the survey responses from somebody. If you answered yes, what was your chamber's experience? Was it worthwhile? If you answered yes to the question, did you go on a trip? What was your chamber? Was it worthwhile? And they said, yeah, moderately successful, which means they brought in some Nondues revenue. Probably didn't hit it out of the park, but they're moderately successful. You can always use some money, but no downside. And yes, they will do it again as it comes forward with attractive and cost savings. So here is a chamber staff person. If you want to make a call and talk to somebody that's done these trips with Idus, her name is Jody Perry. She's IOM, Institute of Organization Management, from the Greece, New York Chamber of Commerce. She's gone on these trips with Idus. She knows all about these, and she said, email me, call me, glad to talk it through to you. So there's your contact of somebody that's in the chamber world. Let's switch over and start touching on social media here. How to use social media to make your trips much more successful. So I talked about, email to membership. You're going to keep on doing that, absolutely. You're going to have a website page. You're going to include it in any kind of things that you're sending out to your members, but then add social media. And this is where I want you to kind of wrap your head around the new way that things are being done. When we were launching social media at our chamber, we realized that there were basically just 3 goals in social media. And the first was we just want to get people's attention. We want them to know that the chamber exists. We want them to know what the chamber does. It's so frustrating to have a chamber of commerce in town, and people would ask me, what do you do for a living? I say, I run the chamber of commerce. And they say, a chamber, what is that? Things of that nature. Getting the word out about the chamber or your chamber trip is half the battle. So you use social media to break through the clutter, to have people be aware that the chamber is going, that they have this benefit, that other people are going, and that, hey, you might want to go too. So another goal out of the 3 goals that you have with social media is relationships or loyalty, of people that have already gone on the chamber trips and you want to stay in touch with them, or people that are members of the chamber. You're using social media to make them feel part of the group, and then when you do offer the chamber trip, they feel as if something that they would like to do because they're part of the chamber. So you use social media for that. And then finally, the 3rd goal of social media is to actually convert somebody into a paying customer, whether convert them into being a member of the chamber or a person going on the chamber trip. And so it's kind of a 3-step process. And the way it worked at our chamber, and I'll just show you this and then relate it to these chamber trips, was we had the little tiny chamber, tourist chamber here in Belfair, Washington. It's called North Mason County, Washington. And then we launched social media, and we have a 45-year-old chamber, just, you know, steady, solid chamber, but not growing. We were the smallest of about 8 chambers around us in the general region. So we launched social media, and we focus on breaking through the clutter, so attention and awareness, getting people to know that the chamber is out there, that we're active, we're busy, we're fun, and then we start developing these relationships. And so people joined from down here where they already had a chamber, and up here they already had a chamber, and here they had a chamber, but they were joining our chamber because we were breaking through the clutter. We were making them aware of us because of what we were doing, and we're using social media to tell our story, and then we were developing relationships with them by engaging and interacting with them. Well, you'll do all that same thing when you're promoting your chamber trip. You tell your story, you break through the clutter, and then you engage people, and then they start coming, they start joining your chamber or coming on your trip. And so you've got to do the first 2. You got to break through the clutter, you got to tell your story with attention and awareness. You develop a relationship, you develop a sense of camaraderie with them, that they know, like, and trust you, and then you make the offer to join the chamber or to go on the chamber trip. And then the 3rd step is acquisition conversion. So let me talk about the first one, breaking through the clutter, attention awareness. This is telling your story through social media. This is a little boy, and the reason I'm telling this, sharing this, is because I was speaking to a Lions group. I had an audience of 400 Lions Club, Lions International. These were district governors and people that had climbed through the ranks of the Lions organization to be the big muckety-mucks for the entire Northwest region. And so my average age in the audience is 70 years old, and I'm there to talk to them about social media and how important social media is for Lions Clubs. And I knew that this would be a tough group to break into. I mean, they're not exactly your key demographic of people using social media, 70-year-old men primarily in my audience. But I came across this story online. This little boy, his name's Mateo, and that's his mom. And Mateo's got cerebral palsy, so he's got special needs. And Mom was upset because Mateo couldn't play in the local playground because, you know, he's a special needs child. And this frustrated her, and she didn't know what to do. But she went to a Lions group. And that one Lions club heard her story, and they brought together 45 other Lions clubs, and they created for that little boy and the other kids in the community, the kids with special needs, a new playground. And so they raised $500,000. They brought together 3,000 volunteers, and they spent 8 days as an organization to build that little boy and the other kids a 12,000 square foot playground in their community. And one of the people that participated, this guy named Ron Hudson, he said, you know, he spent 8 days building Mateo's dream, what they call it, and it was the best thing I have ever done in my life. Now, I'm explaining this to this audience of, you know, seasoned citizens about the power of social media and how it differs from how old school marketing was done. In old school marketing, if you wanted more people to come to your Lions Club, because everybody needs more members, if you wanted more members of your Lions Club, in the old way, you'd have to run a newspaper ad. And it would basically say, you know, Lions Club meets Thursday at Denny's. You're free to join us. Lunch is $8 or what have you. And you would try to reach out to people through a newspaper ad or some kind of old school marketing to get them to come to your monthly luncheon. Well, today, in the world of social media, if you've got 3,000 volunteers, half of which have smartphones that have these cameras that they can immediately take shots of Mateo and Mateo's mom, or the volunteers building a jungle gym, or volunteers working on something. If you have a person with 300 or 500 Facebook friends named Ron Hudson, and he posts out on his Facebook page that, you know, I've spent the last 8 days building Mateo's dream and it's changing my life, that is how you break through the clutter nowadays. You can run an ad in a newspaper, and people just don't read newspapers anymore so much, or you can let people tell your story for you through social media. And you know, it applies, and I teach this all across the country for chambers. It applies totally for growing your membership, for getting the word out. Allow your members to become your advocates. Allow your members to share the chamber's story. And you need to teach them how to do that. It just doesn't happen on its own. The chamber has to take a leadership role in this. But the thing that breaks through the clutter nowadays is not beating people with advertising, beating them over the head with advertising. It's allowing the story of the chamber to break out. Let me give you a couple more examples of this here. Tom Peters, the management guru, said the story is more powerful than the brand. And what he meant by that was, well, for instance, all the cars blend in. You see thousands of cars a day on your way to work. You really don't even notice them. You practically don't even notice the drive to work. You just get to work. All those cars kind of blend into the background until one day you decide to buy a new car. And then I'll use myself as an example. I bought myself a Pontiac Solstice, little tiny two-seater sports car that I saw on The Apprentice, and I just loved it. And came time for me to get a new car, and I thought, you know, I'm going to go buy that little Pontiac Solstice. You never see them anywhere. There's none in our community. I'll be the only one with it, which is kind of cool. And I just love that little car. So I went and bought one. And within a few weeks after buying it, all of a sudden I'm noticing that I'm not the only one with a Pontiac Solstice. I'm seeing these things everywhere. Well, you see, that's the story. The story broke through the clutter once I had the Solstice. When it was just, when I wasn't on the market for buying the new car and I was just driving to work every day, those Solstices were there. I just never saw them. It was only until after I owned one where my worldview was now open to seeing Pontiac Solstices. All of a sudden they were everywhere. I'll give you another quick example of this phenomenon that makes story so powerful. Let's say I'm a millionaire stockbroker and I'm entertaining clients, and I'm going to a wine shop to pick up the perfect bottle of wine for the night because it's got to fit the evening. And so I go into the wine shop and I'm looking at the top shelf of the wines, looking for something that's impressive, maybe something new on the market, something that'll really be appropriate for the evening. I come across a $100 bottle of wine that's, you know, new on the market, and it's just perfect for the evening. Am I even going to notice that there's a new boxed wine on the shelves? You know, my worldview, if I'm a millionaire stockbroker entertaining millionaire clients, I would not know there's a boxed wine, a new boxed wine on the market. You know, and the same thing is true for if I'm Joe six-pack factory worker and I just need some red table wine for the week, I'm not going to notice the $100 bottle of wine. And so what you do as a chamber is invisible until your story breaks through the clutter. You go from invisible to visible when your story meets the worldview of people that could be in your market. And this is where social media comes in that if you try to tell your story, a lot of times that's just advertising. And chambers have been trying to tell their story for 100 years, and a lot of people don't know what chambers do. But if I'm on Facebook and one of my friends posts out something to the effect of, I am so excited to be on the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce because they're fighting for the business community, well, that would break through to my worldview. That story breaks through to my worldview. Well, similarly, when you're doing a chamber trip to China or something to this effect, or Russia, or wherever it happens to be. And one of my friends posts on Facebook that I am so excited, I'm going with the chamber to Ireland or Russia or China or India or wherever it happens to be. That is going to reach me. It will break through the clutter. So let me give you some statistics here that talk about how big of a deal this is becoming. IBM just a few weeks ago released this study, and they looked 3 to 5 years out on how are people going to interact with their customers. And face-to-face is going to decline, and I think we all know that. We're getting crazy busy. Call centers, phones, declining. We're getting crazy busy. Traditional media, look at the drop-off there. They think it's going to fall by up to 61%. Newspapers are already the fastest declining industry in the country. You ain't seen nothing yet if this study holds true. But look at social media, increase 256%. So that is where the future of all marketing is going in one form or shape of another. I'm not saying quit all old school marketing, but you are definitely going to see quite a trend to using social media to break through the clutter, to get your story in front of your target market, the people that would have the world view that would be open to your story. And keep in mind, this is a truism that applies to social media, although this came out 70 years ago from the founder of the National Speaker Association. What he said was, and I think you will agree with me here on this, that 95% of people are imitators, not initiators. We've heard, 95% of people are followers, not leaders, these sort of things. So if that is true, that 95% of people are imitators or followers, then this must be true, that people are more persuaded by the actions of others than any proof we can offer. And so when I'm talking to business audiences, chamber audiences, I always say that your restaurant might have the very best food. It might be at the best price. Your hotel might have the best rates, or it might have the best views. You might have proof of all of those things, but that pales in comparison if you tell me, that's advertising. I'm not going to give it much credence. But if my family and friends are all talking about your restaurant or your hotel or what have you, then I am going to follow, because that's, we give our family and friends the benefit of the doubt. And if everybody's doing it, then we want to do it too. We do not want to be the only guy in town that hasn't eaten at the new restaurant. Similarly, if your chamber has got a trip going to some special place, let's say you're going to Tuscany, and all the a couple people from your board and somebody from your staff and then several people from the community and maybe an elected official, if all these people are going to a destination, and I see that on social media, and I go, wow, I don't know too much about Tuscany, but I know that I don't want to be left out. We follow. Matter of fact, what they're seeing here is, this according to Nielsen, is people trust recommendations from people known to them, so their Facebook friends, Twitter friends, that sort of thing, at 90%. So almost carte blanche. You give credence to them. But we also trust just strangers posted online 70% of the time. So it wouldn't even have to be that I would know all the people going on your trip. It's just that if I see a lot of people are signing up on Facebook that, yes, we're going, or they're twittering out that I'm so excited to be going on the trip with the chamber, or they're posting to their Facebook wall about, we had a great time in China last year and 3 weeks we're leaving to Ireland. That is very, very persuasive stuff. And remember that only about 14% of people will trust advertisements. We want our information now to come from family and friends. When I speak in the tourism industry, these are the numbers that are just mind-boggling now, that almost 80% of people now say online reviews impact their dining choices. And I speak mostly at the high-end resorts and fine restaurants. But before people will drop $100 for meals with wine, they're going to go online and see what their family and friends and strangers have said. Before you drop $300 on a hotel room, you're going to go online and check to see if people are complaining that, don't stay at this resort, they're under construction. Or if all the reviews are glowingly positive, well, that's the resort you're going to go with. So keep that in mind as you use social media to promote your trips. So let me give you some examples of chambers that are doing this well, and maybe you can think about how you'd want to work this in. This chamber here set up an events page for their chamber trip, and then the people that had either been on the trip or are going on the next trip had a place where they could talk about it. And like Bernice here at the bottom, you know, China was awesome, wonderful people. It was a great trip. Now, if I'm a member or somebody from the community and I'm looking at that, it's not the chamber saying the trip is great. Of course the chamber is going to say the trip is great. And it's not Idus saying the trip was great. Of course they're going to say the trip is great. This is a person in the community that I may know. And if she says China was awesome, well, she's got no reason to lie. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. So here's another one. You know, Michelle and I had a fantastic time. The group of people we went with were the best. You know, it was what a blast. You know, wow, fantastic trip. Enjoyed every minute of us. These are your salespeople now. Let your members become your salespeople. Use your Facebook page to tell the story. If I'm interested in Russia and I see in my news feed on Facebook this incredibly gorgeous picture of this Russian building, and I probably should know what that Russian building is. The Kremlin? No. Anyway, all of a sudden that breaks through the clutter, and then I read, and it's all right, that's right, we're going to visit the history and architecture splendor of Moscow and St. Petersburg. Watch for details. And this is from the Northumberland Central Chamber of Commerce. Tell the story through social media. Here's a chamber that set up they're doing a Cuba trip. They set up an events page. I talked about that earlier. You're going to want to put down the itinerary and the things that you're going to see. But then they went and invited the people in the community that may want to go. And when 23 people said they are going, well, there's that social proof that I talked about earlier of, wow, all these people are going. I want to go. I don't want to be left behind. And between the maybes and the goings, that's 55 people have made that action on Facebook. And what that does, as you probably know, is that puts this trip into the news feed of their friends. So if they have 300 friends on average and 50 people click the button saying maybe or going, all of a sudden hundreds and thousands of people are exposed to your chamber trip, not from you, the chamber, but through their friends. Very powerful stuff. You should all be doing this with your chamber trips. Here's the Hayward Chamber of Commerce, did a similar thing. They shared it with their friends. They have people coming, going. But what's even more golden here is the comments. My husband and I are very interested in China. I went on the Italy trip and loved it. This person, you know, I want to go to China, and then the chamber answers, you know, that's great news, Bill, because we're going to be making an announcement on that very soon. So allow your members, again, I'm going to say this again and again, allow your members to become your salespeople for you because they have the credibility. Here's a post on a Chamber of Commerce wall, you know, great China trip after the fact. So this isn't just before, it's before, during, and after. You're using social media to make people that didn't go feel like, gosh, I knew I should have went on that trip. She had a great time. And if you know Karen, all of a sudden you give it more credibility. But even if you don't know Karen, even if it's just a stranger, it carries a lot of weight. You know, and she said, my son and I had a great time, so she plants the seed here that it doesn't just have to be the member of the chamber. She took a family member. You could take, you know, you could have 8 or 10 people in one group that wants to go along with the chamber, and the chamber makes substantial non-dues revenue. Got just a couple more slides here, and then we're going to get into the questions. Make sure that you post the images from your trips. Let people make their comments. Go ahead and keep on doing the things you've always done very well. Include your chamber trip inside your newsletter and all your emails, like I said. Social media doesn't replace these things, but it sure does put it on steroids. And then make sure that you take really great photos of your trip, and then you're tagging the members. Each of these members are probably on Facebook. They'd be more than happy to have their image tagged that they were on a business and cultural trip to some exotic location, and then they will post underneath. They'll be notified that when they're tagged on the image, and then underneath they'll post, oh, we had such a great time, thank you so much, I can't wait for next year's. Let your members, again, become your salespeople for you. And then as Seth Godin said, the holy grail of all this social media is you take people that are strangers to you and they become your friends because they like what you post, they like what you stand for, they like your story. And then they become members. Those friends now become members because they want to belong to something. Everybody wants to belong to something, and they also want to get the benefits of membership. And then they become salespeople for you, which is the holy grail. That's word of mouth, and you really can't beat that. And this is from Seth Godin, who I recommend you read everything Seth Godin's written on social media. So here's my contact information. If anybody wants to know more about my research into the chamber trips and social media, I'm totally available. Send me an email, and I will be more than glad to share with you or answer any questions you have. Harish, are you ready to kind of take over your part of this?
Sure. Yeah, I'm ready.
Very good.
Excellent presentation, Frank. Thank you so much. I can see how excited you are about the social media and Facebook. It really gives a lot of results.
Yeah, absolutely. It's transforming how marketing is done.
Yeah. Can you just give the, okay, here it is. So thank you everyone for attending this webinar. My name is Harish Shroff. I'm the group coordinator with Indus Travel, and I will touch only a few slides because I think Frank has already touched everything and he's done an excellent presentation. A few things about Indus. We do these business chamber trips to many destinations. To start with, we do to these destinations which are the upcoming economies. That's India, Russia, Brazil, and China. We also have all the business component that Frank has very well touched, that if you want to have a buyer and seller meeting, you want to meet some chambers over there locally, we do organize those things. Yep. Going to the next slide. But there are many chambers who are starting to organize these trips, and they want to have leisure component in that. So we have other destinations also, like Egypt, Turkey, Dubai, Greece, Ireland, and we have one day on these trips where we try to do the buyer-seller meet or a coordination with the chamber, and the other main trip that is for 6 to 7 days is always leisure. They go to see the different destinations. We've had a great response on Dubai. Turkey is doing very good, so we've had excellent feedback from the chambers who have taken trips to these destinations. Yeah. Next slide. We help chambers to promote these trips. To begin with, we have a lot of places that we are promoting, and if the chamber executive wants to travel with us to these destinations, we do time and again come up with a lot of fam trips. We've done fam trip to India, we've done fam trips to Egypt, we've done to Turkey, Morocco. So if the chamber executive wants to travel to these destinations to see and come back, we also have those programs which will give you the first-hand experience of seeing these destinations and then coming back and putting this trip. If no, we also assist you in selling, by which anyway you have a free trip, which I'm going to touch on it. You can utilize that for your travel. Yep, next slide. We have a special promotion today that we are offering. This is only for people who are attending this webinar today. As you already heard, we normally offer one free on 25 people. But for all participants who have attended the webinar today, we are offering one free on 25 people. Sorry, I must have said 25 before. So it's a promotion, one free on 25 people. And if we sign up any trip for 2013 or further before October 15, 2012. And also we have we are working with Frank, so we will also be offering to the chamber 2 hours with Frank, who will assist you in working on the social media. As you already heard, a lot of exciting things, how you can use your clients to be your salesperson, or how you can use social media to promote these trips. My office is in Vancouver. I am based in Toronto, and here are some of my contact details, and you will be hearing more from me. So this is all from my side, and if you have any questions, we will be glad to answer your questions to take from here. Yeah.
Harish, do you have the question screen on your side?
If you go next, probably you will have it.
There you go.
Yep. We had some questions actually from the last presentations, which I found to be very good ones, and I can quickly run those also. One of the chamber asks that if there is a possibility of working with a local travel agent, as Frank touched, that you have some members who are chamber members who are travel agents and you don't want to step on their toes, yes, we can work out with them wherein you can actually split the commission with them. This is also a good way. It helps you because then the travel agent does your work and all the documentations and everything is taken care by them. The second question was, is there a price for member and non-member? Yes, these are some promotions that we assist you in running. For example, you can have a little higher cost for the non-members. This way you can attract people to become a member, or you can have an extra income on the same tour from the person and make him feel that because he is not a non-member, he has to pay a little higher. So, which is really also a selling point. Do we have prices? Yes, we have the prices ready up to fall of 2013. We are promoting almost like 17 destinations, just to name a few, which are really doing good right now are Turkey, Ireland, Hong Kong, China. Hong Kong, Bangkok is one of our trips. India is always doing good. Peru is also upcoming destination. So we have more than 16, 17 destinations that we are promoting. Yeah, next slide. We have already touched on this. So one of the questions was, is there a networking opportunity? Yes, not only for your members. When the people go on these trips, when the members go on this trip, to be honest, many of them have not met each other because it could be members, non-members, community people. Also, when you go there, we have a networking opportunity with the business people over there. The next question was, what is the hot countries to visit? As I already named, Turkey is one of them. They are really Turkey is really doing good. Dubai is another destination. Morocco and India. These are some very good hot countries if the clients want to go and experience the sun, culture. These are good places to go. Recommendations for chambers who have already done Turkey. Again, these are our next upcoming destinations which are really doing good. Ireland, Dubai, Turkey, Morocco, India, Peru. They're really doing good. This was a very interesting question from one of the chamber that they have been really doing a lot of trips and they have been getting a lot of response and they really want to add new and new destinations. So this goes to prove that you can really do trips year after year and 2 or 3 trips every year and still there are new people coming up. So just to answer them, if they have done again the other destinations like Dubai, Turkey, Morocco, Peru, India, these are some upcoming destinations and we are really seeing good response on these destinations from the other chambers. So if they have tried these destinations, it's good. If no, then we also have South Africa, which is one of the new product that we have added. Fiji is there, and Vietnam, that's our also one of the newest one. So I think this, this is all from my side. And just again to remind, if you sign up for any new trip before October 15, we're offering 1 free on 25 people, 2 hours with Frank. You already heard the exciting things Frank has to say about the social media, and I'm sure we assist you in designing the flyer. We assist you in doing the consumer shows. You will have a great success. So,
thank you so much, Harish. I really enjoy working with you and Idus. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think we've covered so many questions and I don't see any more questions. So thank you everyone for attending and it was a pleasure being here.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.